WWE is potentially working on something pretty damn big, and we're going to talk about it in today's video, as well as a variety of other stories. So, as always, timestamps in the description down below. I want to kick things off talking about that Jacksonville crowd from WWE Raw. Guys, this was obviously a head-scratcher. Pretty solid Raw. Some of the matches were great. It's the World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor was awesome. And yet, for some reason, it was a head-scratcher because Jacksonville really wasn't that great of a crowd. Now, normally I don't really like to talk about the crowds because I think everything is, there's so much at play as to whether a crowd is good or not. But the major consensus that I've seen on social media is that everybody pretty much agrees that the crowd was terrible. And WWE kind of knew this. Worked Wrestling, who has put out tons of stories on Twitter and has been very accurate in their posting, tweeted out that WWE basically saw this as a no-win scenario. They said production at last night's WWE Raw from Jacksonville, Florida was aware of the lackluster crowd responses compared to this weekend's events. We heard it described as a no-win scenario. Either they will use filler crowd noise or they broadcast a silent crowd on TV. Now, this is unfortunate because we just saw how incredible the crowd has been in Puerto Rico. And WWE's crowds have been great lately, right? When you look at everything that's going on with Shinsuke Nakamura and obviously Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes and some of these guys who have these like really big entrances and the sing-along songs. And, we're seeing people react to it. We're seeing people react to the matches. And obviously it's not fair to compare Jacksonville to Puerto Rico because obviously we saw Backlash was a very, very, very big anomaly. It's first event in 18 years. So obviously they've been itching for a show. Jacksonville has been pretty spoiled in the last few years with shows. Obviously Jacksonville was the home of AEW during the pandemic. But my point that I'm making is WWE obviously saw this as a no-win scenario, and the idea that they have to pipe in crowd noise, I think, is often something that people continue to talk about. But I don't think WWE Raw really was a bad show. And a lot of people don't seem to think that either. Like, yeah, maybe you could change a couple things here and there, but for the most part, a lot of people saw it as like, hey, it was a solid episode. There were some fun matches. There's storylines. There's logic. And, at that point, what do you do? And, I've seen wrestling shows pipe in audio, and it's not the thing that I like to see the most, but I definitely understand why WWE would do so. But what I would say is this, if there's one thing I really want to take away from this is if you're going to a city and you're selling your tickets and you're doing extremely well, which, by the way, Jacksonville, I think, was a very, very, very close sellout. Maybe it even sold out, but it was a very close sellout the last time I looked. If WWE is selling tickets and they're not responding, I would start booking shows at the arenas where they're selling out and they're very loud, because I think it just helps the overall product in general just create a level of excitement. Guys, WWE and roster cuts, what is happening there? A lot of people have been talking about this for a while now, obviously because of the Endeavor UFC stuff. But now here's the thing. I kind of alluded to this in the past in a video, but it didn't appear that WWE was looking at cutting talent from the show, right? So guys like Drew McIntyre, Becky Lynch, John Cena, Roman Reigns, the superstars of WWE shouldn't be expected to be released by the WWE. Now, I'm not saying it's never going to happen. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but it just kind of seems like WWE right now, they're doing a lot of cuts in the backstage environment, maybe within the creative team, maybe within the people that work at the offices, which would make sense, by the way. Anybody who knows how a merger goes down, first and foremost, that the people that are working in the marketing department and this, all these different departments in the office, right, at headquarters, those are the people that are more than likely going to be losing their jobs, unfortunately. But that's just kind of how it is within mergers, right? So Dave Meltzer was asked about this on Wrestling Observer Radio. He also agrees that he doesn't think it's going to happen. He doubts it. He believes it's always a possibility. They haven't been doing cuts with talent, which, by the way, usually after WrestleMania, we see talent cuts. We haven't got that this year. We talked about this before with Triple H and Vince McMahon and Nick Khan and Endeavor. I think WWE is going to be more so not doing roster cuts, but I think they'll do something similar to AEW in the sense of not re-signing people, which at the end of the day, if you get released by WWE, you still get paid out for 90 days. If your contract ends, you don't get paid out, but then you're free to sign anywhere. I'll let you compare and contrast. But my point that I'm making is if WWE goes that route, then I think WWE needs to be very careful, because AEW's big issue is you have a lot of people who want to go out of the company and leave the company, as I'm sure WWE does, right? We know grizzled young vets, Schism, we know they're trying to, we know the Dyad is trying to leave, and WWE didn't honor that. They obviously didn't honor it with Roderick Strong either. But if I was WWE, if I have talent that don't want to be there, I know you don't want to lose your talent to AEW, but if you're not regularly cutting talent and you're trying to get talent on your show, listen, just let them go. And I think that's a big thing. I say the same thing with AEW. If Tony Khan, if Miro and Andrade and Malachi and all these other guys are unhappy, just let them go. Just let them go at this point. I know it's a business, but at the same time too, if you're not going to be doing if you're not doing regular releases and you're just going to make people wait out their contract, some of these people you're going to make them wait 3-4 years. Why do that? Literally just start being neutral to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? If you don't want to be here, we'll let you go. No problem. You'll still have the non-compete clause, but after the non-compete clause, it's over. Go ahead and leave. And maybe you could put some terms in the contract as far as like, whatever you want. But nonetheless, WWE isn't expected to do roster cuts, which I guess is a good thing. Guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about WWE teasing the return of Tommaso Ciampa. A lot of people seem to miss this, but on WWE Raw, we saw The Way come back together. And right before the segment ended, Johnny Gargano was asking the group about him coming back. And they couldn't be mentioning Theory because Theory's on SmackDown, so there would not be a way for this to happen. Obviously, Johnny Gargano being the one to say this, it's pretty simple. Johnny Gargano was mentioning Ciampa. Now, WWE, if you follow this channel, has been talked about. There's been rumors that have been talked about. There's been things we've covered that have been talked about. That WWE's eventual goal when bringing back Johnny Gargano was Johnny Gargano and Ciampa teaming up together. So remember that. Before The Way got back together, that was the rumor. That's what WWE wanted. Obviously, Ciampa is not back yet. This is a way for WWE to have Johnny Gargano and everybody together doing a storyline. Bringing back Ciampa and Johnny Gargano is best for business. You got a freaking awesome tag team division. You got to book that tag team division like so. But Ciampa coming back is great. Obviously, we know he's been out for a while with an injury. Last time I seen some photos of him, he looked really healthy. He looked good, so that's a good sign. Obviously, we want to see some big things happen this summer. I think you got to do it with Ciampa and Gargano. Those are the guys who should win the tag team championship belts from Sammy and Kevin Owens at SummerSlam. That's my choice. And you know what? I'm all for it. Guys, WWE has something big in the works, and it looks like WWE could be announcing another international premium live event. It hasn't been confirmed the exact name of the pay-per-view, but the Boozer666 Twitter account, which obviously has been breaking tons of stories lately, and all of them have been accurate, dropped some news on Twitter that WWE's next international premium live event is scheduled for Saturday, September 2nd. And this is interesting because this would be the day before AEW All Out, historically. Now, keep in mind, we don't know if they're doing All Out this year. We don't know anything just yet. But WWE is looking at counter-programming on the same weekend. And we don't know if this is going to be Saudi Arabia. We don't know any of that, but we do know that Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful just the other day talked about WWE speaking to people in Australia to do a potential live event there. Not just a regular live event, premium live event. So, yeah, this is cool. I think this is great. I think this is what WWE needs, more international shows. Obviously, WWE doing the stadium international shows are just super fun. And Triple H has done a really good job. Clash at the Castle was extremely fun. Obviously, we saw Puerto Rico become very fun. And the last show in Saudi Arabia was awesome, too. So WWE doing more of that is only a good thing. And a lot of credit goes to Vince McMahon and Nick Khan and Triple H. They understand that the plan should be international audiences and growing that international base. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I appreciate you all for watching. I'll keep you guys updated along the way with any big stories that come out, and I'll see you next time.